And that is my son Matt. And today we are going to be covering an article, but I know there's some breaking news. I'm not real familiar with the social media sensation that is Andrew Tate. I know that he's been interviewed by Piers Morgan. I think he's been interviewed by Jordan Peterson. And several other, I don't know if John Stossel interviewed him. I know Andrew Tate, he was a kickboxer. I know he did a little bit of MMA. He was on some British, one of these real life, supposedly TV, Big Brother or something, and he got kicked off. That's kind of what made him famous, but he's kind of like super ultra wealthy. But he just got arrested in Romania, and the allegations are human trafficking, which, I don't know, he is ultra mega wealthy. I think he's originally from the UK, but he lives in Romania and like Dubai or something, so he's worth like 300 or 400 million. He was arrested in Romania by the Romanian authorities, and the allegations in Romanian say something about like human trafficking or whatever. And there was a couple young girls involved from one of his mansions. But apparently him and his brother may own like casinos in Romania, so they're definitely super shady dudes. But then the conspiracy theory, the ultra conspiracy community, he was verbally jousting back and forth with Greta Thunberg. How dare you, sir? That Greta Thunberg, the greenhouse puppet or whatever, the greenhouse gas, her, the CIA, whatever, she's like a mockingbird, whatever. But he was like verbally jousting back and forth with her about all of his like V12 Bugattis and whatnot that create lots of greenhouse gases or whatever. So it's very interesting. We're not gonna cover the Andrew Tate story because there really isn't a lot of information about it now. It's very interesting. Just the society of social media. This guy blows up relatively from out of nowhere.
It was just like.
We're not on TikTok, but like he is like apparently the king of TikTok.
Oh, really?
And some other social media.
I know because of like talking.
He's all over YouTube.
Politically talking on there.
No. He's like ultra wealthy, and so he's always. And then he does this like kind of self-help stuff to help. He's got like some kind of hustlers university, and people pay $50 a month, and he gives them like platitudes and stuff, and helps them feel better about their self-esteem and all stuff or whatever. But really, he's kind of like a super cocky alpha male jerk kind of guy. Is the persona or whatever. But man, if he got snagged for human trafficking, that's pretty crazy and kind of shady. But there you go. You get it here first. This is a comedy show, so there's no breaking news here. We're here to make you laugh. But let's jump into this article. And this was reposted by Zero Hedge. This comes from the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Schneider. The mega bubbles have started to burst, and that could mean unprecedented financial chaos is ahead. Now, we've talked about this collapsing housing market, and everyone knew that the Fed raising the interest rate in a substantial way and taking mortgage rates to 8% and probably ultimately to 10% would obviously in one way negatively impact the housing market. If you are in the market to buy a house or a homestead and you're looking for land and you don't need to finance, well, it is the time to really start looking. And I know several people that have sold their house and they've been waiting for the right time to buy, and it's getting there. It's probably going to dump much more, so there is opportunity in this pullback. So
True.
All things being considered, we really good friends of ours, they sold their house, and they're sitting on the proceeds, and they're building a portable tiny house, which is kind of cool, but they're going to be able to take advantage of this massive dip. It's probably going to dip much further, and we'll see here what some of these financial experts are saying. The Federal Reserve giveth, and the Federal Reserve taketh away. Also, we are having a serious thunderstorm and torrential rain here, so you may hear some big booms and cracks, but that is the thunder that's going on. It was 70-some degrees today, y'all.
It was amazing.
And it was incredibly amazing, but now there's a little bit of a cool front, not a cold front.
Tropical storm. Yeah.
And it's dropping some major lightning, thunder, and torrential downpour. So if you hear a roar, that's the rain. If you hear some booms and cracks, that's the thunder. Yep. But it's been pretty wild. In a desperate attempt to help the U.S. economy recover from the horrific economic crisis of 2008 and 9, the Federal Reserve pushed interest rates all the way to the floor and kept them at or near the floor until 2022. Now these are the money masters, the money changers that are supposed to be able to control all this stuff. So why you would keep it that low for that long, even though we came out and we're having a robust economy? It's all part of the plan. This has all been the design for the central bank digital currency. So you create these bubbles, you inflate these bubbles, then you pop these bubbles, and you either regulate to put yourself in a greater financial advantage to fleece the world of its assets, or you impart something totally and completely new like central bank digital currency, which is why many, if not most, if not all people that just understand the bare basics of economics and just common sense and logic think that this is going to obviously be the most catastrophic financial event because of all the manipulation in the wrong way, just like the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill that all the Republicans and Democrats were so cool about, just spending us further into past oblivion.
Awesome.
All of this new money had to go somewhere, and it created colossal financial bubbles that were unlike anything we had ever seen before. There were a few voices that were warning that all of this foolishness would end very badly, but those voices were mostly drowned out by those that were super happy that asset values were absolutely exploding. Like BlackRock and Vanguard and all these venture capitalists that were sucking up all this additional liquidity for free at zero interest. The majority of the people that leverage the complete all this Federal Reserve liquidity are the venture capitals and the banks, and their rates are even more incredible. The Fed had essentially created the ultimate get-rich-quick scheme, and countless Americans were more than happy to take advantage of it. Except very few Americans actually were advantaged by it. What happens is the bubble pops, and the minimal amount of wealth that they'd gained evaporates. It'll evaporate in the stock market. It'll evaporate in the housing market. And now the ultra elites, the billionaires, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, the Donald Trumps, and those that are already in a position and have already repositioned much of their assets to protect themselves against this. And many of them, move all their assets into non-governmental organizations and 501c3s and all those different things for tax shelters. So they can really do a lot of sheltering. But in 2022, inflation started to become exceedingly painful, and the Federal Reserve went into panic mode. Which these people aren't panicking. Nobody's panicking. Everybody was completely aware of what was going to happen. The flow of free money stopped, and the Federal Reserve began to aggressively hike interest rates. Everyone knew that this sudden change of course by the Fed would crash the housing market, and that is precisely what is happening. In fact, even the Wall Street Journal is now admitting that we're facing a housing slump as severe by some metrics as the 709 slump. And it's obviously and easily going to be much, much more than that. I mean, just by the sheer volume of dollars.
Yeah.
And all the speculation once again. But now we're free and clear of mortgage-backed securities. You see how they always end up finding a way, we fixed all that stuff, but now for some reason, it's all going to collapse again.
Awesome.
This Federal Reserve's interest rates increases have brought on a housing slump as severe by some metrics. I'm sorry, I already said that. Inflicting pain on prospective buyers, homeowners, builders, and other industries linked to real estate. For the Fed, this is a feature, not a bug. Slumping housing could help deliver the lower economic activity and inflation that the Fed wants in the coming year. Home sales have been falling month after month, and it's being projected that they could soon fall below the levels that we witnessed during the last housing crash, which means that wipes out any of the appreciation since '08. That's a lot. Okay.
That's a lot.
Sales of existing homes in, okay, what makes that even more exponential is you're in an inflationary environment and your real estate's dropping, basically hitting the reset button, going back in time to 2007, 2008. Sales of existing homes fell in November for a record 10th straight month. Economists at Fannie Mae and Goldman Sachs forecast that they would drop below 4 million in 2023, lower than during the 6/11 housing bust. On Wednesday, we got some more bad news. Pending home sales are one of the best leading indicators for where the housing market is going next. And at this point, pending home sales have dropped to the lowest level ever recorded.
Wow.
Now, they didn't start recording these numbers to 2001, but we're talking about the lowest levels since 2001. That is over 20 years. Okay, and that's including 2008. Contracts to buy U.S. previously owned homes fell far more than expected in November, diving for the 6th straight month in the latest indication of the hefty toll the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes are taking on the housing market. It's always interesting how they always pin this to the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes, other than all the other chicanery and shenanigans that's going on. It's obviously not just the Federal Reserve. So what's the Federal Reserve supposed to do? Drop the rate back down to zero and keep it there? You know, it's just, which, hey, don't get me wrong, I am abolish the Federal Reserve, right? Abolish it, audit it, yes, so you can see how terrible it is, but then abolish it, like annihilate it, and give us our monetary, the ability, our constitutional right to be able to mint our own dollars, right, and use them, other than allowing a private banking cartel to print our money and then loan it to us. I mean, I can't even. But anyway,
hurts my brain.
I beat that drum a lot. So, the hefty toll the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes are taking on the housing market as the central banks seek to curb inflation. The National Association of Realtors said on Wednesday its pending home sales index based on signed contracts fell 4% to 73.9 last month from October's downly revised 77. November's was the lowest reading aside from the short-lived drop in the early months of the pandemic since NAR launched the index in 2001. With interest rates so high, very few people want to buy homes right now. So home prices are going to have to come down a lot. In fact, George Gammon has demonstrated that we will need a crash in housing prices even larger than we witnessed during the last housing crash just to get back to the long-term trend line. Now, here's the thing. Growing up and when you would read financial books, they never said, your home was where you lived. It was never an asset. It was a utility, right?
Yeah.
And then they conned everybody. No, your home is an asset. Your home's going to be your biggest asset and your most amount of wealth. And so the housing prices would go up. You would extract the wealth with a home equity line or refinance, and that creates bubbles too, because that is completely artificial. And the very good thing that if you do own your home, if the price crashes, it really becomes irrelevant if you have no plan on flipping or selling your home. It literally becomes irrelevant. And if you're using your home and your homestead as a utility rather than some artificial asset like every other synthetic asset, and extracting everything you can out of it, like the fact that, like, our homestead is probably $350,000 or something like that, maybe, and that's that's 5 times more than what we paid for it.
Of course.
But like, if it goes back down to $100,000,
whatever,
I don't care.
I don't care.
You know what? If other homesteads around here go back down to $100,000, I'll
That
probably
would
buy
be-
one.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
So there's an enormous amount of opportunity.
Dirt's dirt, and they're not making any more of it. So I mean, if it comes back down, that's awesome.
If there's a gigantic crash in the housing and dirt market, it will be an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to think that more than just the mega billionaires could take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, we've seen this coming. This is coming.
Yes.
And we've known it's coming, and so hopefully we're prepared for it as best as you can be.
Yeah.
Do you think that our system will be able to handle a housing crash of that magnitude? Of course not. Meanwhile, the absurd cryptocurrency bubble that was created by the Fed's easy money policies have already imploded. I really like how Wolf Richter described what you've been witnessing over the past year in one of his most recent articles. And then come the copycat, since everyone can issue cryptocurrency. Suddenly there were a dozen of them, and then there were 100,000, and suddenly 10,000 cryptos, and now there are over 22,000 cryptos. And everyone and their dog is creating them and trading them and lending them and using them as collateral. And all kinds of business sprang up around this scheme. Crypto miners, crypto exchanges, crypto lending platforms. And some of them went public via IPO or via merger with SPAC. And the market capitalization of these cryptos reached 3 trillion, trillion with a T, about a year ago. And then when the Fed started raising its interest rates and started doing QT, the whole thing just blows up. Companies go like poof, and then the money is gone, and whatever is left is stuck in bankruptcy courts, globally, possibly for years. Cryptos themselves have imploded. Many have gone to essentially zero and have been abandoned for dead. The granddaddy Bitcoin is plunged by something like 73% from the peak. The whole crypto market is also down about 73%. More than $2 trillion of crypto wealth has already been wiped out. Less than $1 trillion is left. Think about that. But the party was fun while it lasted, right? Sadly, all the bubbles are starting to burst, and 2023 is going to be a really painful year. Normally, major economic downturns take just about everyone by surprise, but this time around, almost everyone can feel that really bad times are coming. The following is what Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics recently had to say about this. Usually recessions sneak up on us. CEOs never talk about recession, said Zandi. Now it seems CEOs are falling over themselves to say we're falling into a recession. Every person on TV says recession. Every economist says recession. I've never seen anything like it. You know what's even crazier, y'all? We're already in a recession. But in the middle of the recession, they changed the definition of what a recession is, and that's the only reason that we're falling into a recession. We just did our Stanford nonsense about the redefinition of whatever, but they've just redefined the term recession. He is right. We've never seen anything like this before, and that is because the coming crisis is going to be really bad. Many among the elite can sense that what is approaching will be truly nightmarish, and so they have been feverishly preparing for the worst. Now, here at our homestead, I'm very optimistic. I'm not all like doom and gloom, the sky is falling, start welding the bunker shut, and put on
I don't know, how would that affect us? The housing market crashing.
Well, all the markets are going to crash.
Okay,
Is what's going
all
to happen.
at the same time, kind of.
The monetary, so not just the housing market.
So then does that mean pricing in general will go down?
Yes, yeah.
So then the cost of living will go down, right? Or no?
Highly probable. It'll be a very painful, it could be a slow burn or it could be a steep drop.
Gotcha.
But the cost of living will go down.
Will go down.
Well, if hyperinflation doesn't happen,
Okay.
Which if you look at the way the lumber prices have crashed and the way that gas prices are
kind of
flatlining. I think we're seeing that that's a curb to this inflationary, and a lot of it's because people just become more conservative. They stop spending like drunken sailors.
Yeah.
They just become more conservative in their spending, which is kind of a really good
Which
thing.
back when gas was close to like almost $4 a gallon or so, at all the gas pumps, every time I'd pull up, people were only buying like little bits of gas. You know, they weren't filling their car all the way up to the top. I wasn't filling our pickup trucks all the way to the top. I'd put like 5 gallons in them, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like try to baby this thing and like not drive as far and stuff like that, because it would cost me close to $100 to fill up. Now at least when I fill the thing up, it only costs me like $40. So
yeah,
that's a big blessing.
Yeah. Though a recent poll found that 4 in 10 Americans believe we are living in the end of times. It's not just the everyman who is fearing the apocalypse these days. Billionaires have been prepping themselves for the apocalypse with elaborate doomsday bunkers for years. As the world still reels from the scars of the pandemic, climate change-driven storms lash American coastlines and flood inland cities. Yeah, maybe it's from climate change. Cool story, bro. And Russian President Vladimir Putin continues to talk of using nuclear weapons. Actually, what Putin said is like, hey, U.S., if you stop doing this proxy deal, like, I'll just back off. That's actually what he said. And they've already said
That'd be awesome.
that this, if it wasn't for the UN, this whole thing would have, went away, and they would have signed a treaty a long time ago. But they don't want that.
No.
Heinz and Brzezinski and they, them, and those, and the trilaterals and the Bilderbergs and all that. If you didn't know, I think it was Volodymyr Zelensky, whatever they're calling him now. He's putting in his WEF application.
Whoa.
After he slurped all those Congress bucks by all those Congress critters, those in the District of Criminals, that they be writing checks. And so now he's signing up for the WEF to get in some more BlackRock money.
Of course.
So yeah, nothing to see here, folks. Russian President Vladimir Putin continues to talk of using nuclear weapons to devastate Ukraine. A Pew Research Center survey of more than 10,000 adults found that 39% called these the end times. The world's wealthiest are among those cautious of a coming calamity, including billionaire PayPal founder Peter Thiel and Silicon Valley entrepreneur Sam Altman. And speaking of Bilderberg, that's good old Peter Thiel, who have famously laid down routes in remote New Zealand with the express purpose of riding out the end of days. Yes, things will soon get really crazy as global events spiral completely out of control. But that doesn't mean that you should curl up in the fetal position and throw a pity party for yourself. When I was growing up, I was told that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, so get prepared for some really rough years ahead. The clock is ticking, and just about everything that can be shaken will be shaken in 2023 and beyond. So there you go, y'all.
There you go.
And I would say that that's a relatively accurate synopsis of everything that's going on. And
that's good.
this is why we started homesteading from nothing with no experience 8 years ago, and that's why we're still doing it, and that's why we continue to build and develop our infrastructure. That's why the boys started the channel, to encourage people to do that and to share our thoughts and ideas, and and that's why we're on here, is to continue to encourage people. Hey, get out of debt, right? We got out of debt maybe like 4 years ago, and since then we've purchased a couple properties and whatnot. But that's you can't do it all in a day, and you can't do it overnight, and it all takes time, and you just hey, look, it's the end of the year. I hope that all of you are writing down your goals for next year. And if you write down your goals, you have a 97% chance of hitting those goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
I pretty much hit every one of my goals that I wrote down. Yeah.
That you wrote down for this year?
Yeah.
And what about last year?
Last year? Yeah, I totally hit those goals too.
You crushed all those goals,
Yeah,
right?
like
And
everyone.
here's the thing: when I say write down your goals, right, you're gonna be like, "What are you talking about? That's stupid. You're just
I
gonna
know,
write
you
something
think,
down
you
on a
think,
piece of
you think
paper.
that, yeah.
Like that's foolish, right?"
Mhm.
Well, here's the reality. I was told that when I was like 20. Well, me and Texas Mama just got married. So it was at 99, and so I wrote down my goals, and I wrote down some very aggressive goals, and within 3 years, I'd written that down. I folded up that piece of paper. I forget where I put it, and then like 5 years later.
Oh, those are the best.
Oh, you know where it was? It was like in a
Those
suit.
are the
It was in
best.
an inside suit pocket,
No way.
and
That's
I
awesome.
find this list. I put out. I'm like,
Oh my
wow,
goodness.
this is crazy. Like I hit all these goals, and
Wow.
you know, I used to have a goal to be a millionaire and all stuff. Came very, very close to that. And
Then you had kids.
then I had a bunch of kids.
Dang it.
And you know, your priorities change, and your perspective change, and your long-term purpose changes. Lots of things change, and but it's incredibly amazing if you take the time to write down your goals. You know, then there's more aggressive steps you can take when you write down your goals. Is then every morning when you wake up, you write down all the steps you're going to implement that day. But you do not have to do that. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that aggressive. There's something to taking the time to even. Here's the big thing about writing down your goals, y'all. Most people don't even think. Most people don't even have goals because they don't even take the time to think, well, what are my goals? Like, what do I want to accomplish this year? Instead of, I just want to get through the day.
Yeah.
You
Because if you do that, then you'll look back on your life and be like, what? Or on just the year and be like, what did I even do?
Exactly.
Like, I just wasted that whole year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
instead.
that's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
I
terrible.
mean, time is basically life by the hour, and you're just wasting your life away, and you're not planning for anything. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's absolutely true. And so, even though we see all of these very turbulent times ahead, that doesn't mean that you stop planning. It doesn't mean that you stop setting goals. It doesn't mean that you stop marching forward. And here's why. You know, I was a financial planner for 11 years, and I expected the shoe to drop at least by 2012, right? And I've had lots of different prepper and doomsday prepper friends and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We had an older gentleman that has a serious compound in West Texas, and 7 years ago, when the whole E. coli thing broke out, he said, "Y'all need to come here. We need to lock the gate, and we're just gonna hunker down," right? And he was like ready for like whatever, right? And we're just and we're not leaving and all this stuff. Well, I mean, if he did that and we would have done that, you know, we would have missed out on a lot of life and a lot of opportunities and a lot of great experiences. And that's the thing. While we can make some predictions and use logic, ration, and reason, and plan and different things, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And in all real reality, y'all, I could drop dead in my sleep.
Yeah.
You know, any of us could just drop dead. You
Any
know,
second.
and I'd be in heaven. That'd be awesome. I'm not going to complain about that. But
That sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's
now.
kind of fabulous. Yeah, especially in light of.
Sounds amazing.
But yeah, we're just here to encourage you. You know, this stuff is never supposed to be doom and gloom. Hey, do we jazz up the thumbnails, and do you want to make it compelling so that people watch it? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But for these people that always, you know, want to think that it's like doom and gloom and all this stuff, I mean, it's reality.
It's reality.
You shouldn't be Pollyanna and Stepford and not recognize reality, and you shouldn't like not be incredibly upset by the people that are trying to vaporize Western society, Christianity, culture, words, thoughts. I mean, they're trying to vapor lock everything. So I mean, and that should trouble you, and it should stir you to say something. You know, the reason. What good is a First Amendment Right, YouTube? Right, YouTube? What good is the First Amendment, YouTube, if you can't speak freely? Like, you have a right to be an idiot. You have the right to be a moron. Right? You have the right to say stupid stuff.
Dad, you forgot God forbid, because if you just spoke that into existence.
What's that?
You could die right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So they were just trying to...
Well, no, I could die right now. That's true.
That's the truth.
I don't,
But they're saying you should end it with God forbid.
Well.
But yeah.
I mean, God speaks stuff into existence. I don't.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, a lot of that... I don't want, people get on me because... But, like, I'm not a word faith guy,
Mm-hmm.
We don't... the tongue can build up or tear down, but...
Yes.
It's doesn't work like that. That you're taking scripture out of context when you get into that word faith stuffism.
Mm.
And I'm not, and the rest of it's neurolinguistic programming, and that's brainwashing, and that's not good stuff, and that's kind of witchcraft. Neurolinguistic programming is witchcraft, y'all. I was very involved in it, so that's how I know. Even though I wasn't a warlock, but I was involved with neurolinguistic programming, and I also had a computer software where I could prescribe hypnotic messages on my computer screen. So while I was working on my computer, it would flash subliminal messages at me to help me.
What?
Oh yeah, I had a computer. Yeah, I did all that stuff. I read all the books, and I did all the stuff. And I made lots of money. I mean, it works, but a lot of it is... A lot of self-development and self-improvement is, one, it's witchcraft. It's ultra-humanism. And some guys will paint it with like a Christian hue and tone, but it is absolutely all, just speak it into existence and The Secret and, the law of attraction and all that stuff, man. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work, but here's the thing. Just because it works doesn't mean it's not of the prince and the power of the air.
Yeah.
Right? He's got power.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, he's
and
not powerless.
He gives people wealth and fame and all that stuff. But when he's done with them, he...
Like Bo Jiden.
Yeah, like Bo.
Which he doesn't really have any power, but...
And Bunter Hyden.
That's a good one. That's a first. I've never heard that one. Bunter Hyden.
And maybe even Andrew Tate, man. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
If he's human trafficking people, which, I mean, it'd actually be a good thing if some more people started talking about all this trafficking and the accursed thing.
Yeah. And
it's pretty incredible. I've been reading back through the book of Revelation again, and it's pretty easy how people can think we're in end times. There's lots of interesting verses that seem like they're ripped from the headline. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh boy. But so that's so always as a reminder, this is a value for value proposition. So if you like what we put out, all we ask is that you go to TheTexasBoys.com and check out our merch, check out our coffees, teas, check out our organic honey. Right? We try to offer you products that are highly consumable that you use on a regular basis. Our Food Forest in a Box is still available if you like to root some fruit trees so that you can have a food 401k. We have coffee teas now. Buddy has a leather workshop, so check that out. He's adding
all types of
weekly
stuff,
to that. And
sharpening his skills.
Yeah, and we're real excited about it. We hope you're excited about it, and we appreciate all the support. We're looking forward to 2023, and there's going to be bumps in the road. Hey, you know what? I mean, think about this, y'all. I mean, I think about Black Tip H. That guy. I think his name's Joshua. We watched Black Tip H. He's got 3 types of cancer, man.
Really? I didn't hear what was up.
Yeah,
I know he got cancer, but I didn't know what type.
And he just went through all the chemo, and he's waiting to get his scans back.
He lost all of his hair, his eyebrows, and everything.
And I mean, look, we could be everything could be going great, and if if you're dealing with like a health issue,
Yeah.
or the loss of a loved one or something like that. I mean, if everything was bright fleecy clouds and all that good stuff, I mean, it wouldn't matter, right? So, and always keep that in mind. I mean, everybody is always going through something, so don't be so ready to jump on somebody, you know. Be looking to help, be looking to encourage, be looking to help strengthen, exhort someone, help someone out, help your neighbor, help your community.
Yeah.
You know, just be kind, right? You know, because everybody's going through something and stuff's always happening. And meanwhile, the world still continues to move in a fashion towards the coming again of the Lord Jesus Christ. So obviously, if you want to be prepared, you should settle your accounts, you know, with the Creator.
Absolutely.
Repent and believe the gospel. God is coming back, and He's not happy. Okay, and,
No.
and He doesn't.
And love is not love.
He doesn't love everybody. I'm just telling you. Okay, He doesn't.
No.
He doesn't. So, and the reason He's coming back, you know, that whole end times thing, and I mean, read the book of Revelation. It's not puppy dogs, rainbows, unicorns. You know, He's not coming back on a unicorn to get everybody gummy bears.
No.
Okay.
No.
So.
Not the last time I read it.
And you know, it's very sobering. You know, it'll sober you so that you can look at life in the proper perspective, and you can get your house in order, right? So, all right, y'all. Well, we appreciate you. And we thank you for spending a little bit of time with us.
Absolutely.
And we don't want to waste your time.
And Carlos, I think rental land in general is a very good idea. If you can pick up rental land.
Oh, sure.
Do you think rental land is a good idea? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, if you can monetize it, I would do it. Just ask Greg Judy, right?
Yep, exactly. All right, y'all. See y'all later.